Oh, that way. Yeah. Please know that it's spot for Lake 50.
Still have a few seconds.
Second.
I like to be prompt.
That's that digital stuff, you know?
Well, this clock, we're 28 seconds late.
We're on official Apple time.
Cupertino.
It's 6:30 and to call this meeting to order. Stand with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank you all for attending this evening. We have a fairly short agenda. I just want to remind everyone that there's a sign-in sheet here if you haven't signed in yet. Appreciate that. And our first order of business is approval of the minutes of February 4th, 2026. Anybody have any comments or corrections on the minutes? Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Move to accept the minutes as presented for February 4, 2026.
So Ariana's made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Arnie's a second. Any changes or?
If I can just find the document here in my computer.
I'm okay.
Well, Tim's searching diligently. I have a couple on page
You probably caught the same one.
6, line 15. Third to last word, purvey should be purview. I think that's Purvue. And then on line 22, same page, parving should be paving for the paving project. And that's all I had.
Let's see, I found it. I'm on page 4, line 2. They haven't said the statute tells how to deal with continuance, should be discontinuance, I believe. And then I caught paving as well, carving for paving. I think that was all I had.
Anything else? All in favor of the minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Excellent, thank you. Next on the agenda are citizen comments. If anyone has any comments they'd like to make on anything that is not on the agenda, now is your opportunity. Mr. McGinnis?
Yes, good evening. This is Kirk McGinnis, 1039 Wyman Falls Road. This is a records and process request, not a debate. Town Council's February 18th, 2026 letter acknowledges receipt and retention of my documents and confirms no Title 19, Section 709 hearing date has been set. Town's Council, February 17th, 2026 letter claims a Class 4 highway and a presumptive 3-rod right-of-way at or near 1039 and claims staging authority within that right-of-way. A presumption is not a map boundary. Please identify the specific public records that establish the right-of-way, corridor, location, and width at or near 1039 and the written authorization relied on for staging bridge materials there. Please note in the minutes that I made this request. And for the record, I emailed my discontinuance petition on November 7th, 2025 at 12:35 p.m. Town Council's February 18th, 2026 letter states the town received it November 10th, 2025 at 9:40 a.m. Please state the current procedural status and the next agenda date when the select board will schedule the Title 19, Section 709 hearing, and note that in the minutes.
Thank you, sir.
You're
Anyone else
welcome.
have any comments? Yes, Jerry?
Jerry Usey. Couple of points. First is, I just wanted to recognize the town for setting up the candidates forum last night. I think that's super important, and I was really pleased to see the amount of people that turned out on Zoom and in person to hear what candidates had to say. For me as a candidate, that gives me hope that people are interested in the town and moving the town forward. Second point that I'd like to point out, and this also goes to part of the reason why I'm running. We had multiple candidates on the select board and on the school board last night speak to the fact that they weren't running due to politics. And then today, our paper of record, a day late, posted my candidate statement. And I noticed that on top of every article and every link on our paper of record, there is a paid advertisement by the Democrat Party, and it shows 3 members of the select board who are running and 2 school board members who are running. For me, this has no place here. Politics do not belong on a school board. They don't belong on a select board. And if we continue down this road of having people sit on these boards who are only going to take one viewpoint into consideration, our town and our schools are doomed to fail. So I just wanted to make that statement for you here as a board and for the public to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Lauren?
Lauren Fearman from Chester. I'm also a candidate, and my picture is one of the ones that is in the ad in the Chester Telegraph. I made no statement about whether I was running for political reasons or not. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I feel compelled to say that the reason I'm running is not solely about politics, but I think a statement that politics has no place in the running of government is a bit disingenuous. In one way or another, local politics involve politics. And I would take exception to the idea that having support from a political party necessarily equals being unavailable to see all points of view. I personally identify as an independent, but I am pleased to have support from the local Democratic Party. I continue and will make my own statement and not speak for others to believe that all of us, whatever our politics are, should be and can be capable of hearing all sides of every issue and always treating things in that regard as though all things are on the table. So everyone's entitled to their opinion, but the opinion that politics necessarily makes you unavailable to make a decision that involves everybody's ideas, it's not necessarily true. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, next on our agenda is old business. Julie, you want to take us through this?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I had put in your memo, I've been dealing with auditors. The auditors were here last week, so not a whole lot else was getting done last week. I wanted to bring to your attention, it's in your memo. I've talked to several of you. It was brought to my attention over the weekend that when I had asked in our budget documents for the transfer department to be separated out from ambulance so that we could track that differently, track that separately, expenses and revenue. When I asked for that to be broken out and those changes were made, the formula calculating the total of the budget was not changed. So the budget as we have adopted and as we have printed is short $56,000. That has been addressed internally. There is decisions for you guys to make, ladies to make. We can either at town meeting make an amendment to the article and increase the amount of budget that we want to raise. Or we can hang tight and see what happens throughout the year. It is the transfer service. It will very likely generate additional revenue that could offset that. We can monitor as we go and see what happens with the budget as time goes on. I leave that to you guys as a board to decide what you want to do. And there it is.
So the 56,000, is that the ambulance budget that's short?
That's the ambulance. We separated out the transfer service expenses from the
Okay.
ambulance service because we wanted to track those separately.
Right.
And when that was separated out, the formula was not updated.
So it's the transfer service
Correct.
that theoretically is 56,000 short.
The budget is 56,000 short because the transfer service total expense was not included in the bottom line. That's the issue.
So that's what it costs to run it, but
The
not,
transfer
that
service.
has not, that doesn't reflect the revenues from it.
No,
That's-
no, it was just the expense line that was not included when that change was made.
What's the revenues on that?
The revenue that
Yeah, put in there, because I know we were playing around with different numbers. We tried to keep it conservative as far as what we were anticipating.
I believe that we put in 250. 250.
And what did we bring in 25?
We have brought in a total of 517. This year we budgeted, 2026, we budgeted 500 total between everything. This year in 2025, we brought in 517, 590.
517.
Yeah.
So my thought is that because it is the ambulance transfer service, my guess is that will make up the revenue shortfall or the budget shortfall, I guess. So I'm not super concerned about it, but
The other thing to think about too, is at some point, because we know we ended 2025 in a deficit. So we're audited, we just don't know what that is, right? So we know we ended that. At some point, you're going to have a discussion. We've talked about this. There's going to be a discussion during the year where we talk about how we're going to make that up. If you're going to borrow mid-year to make up that deficit and where something's happening here, you can also include this number in that. I think that what we can try to do is just going into the year, know we have to manage the budget tighter.
That feels to me like where we need to be, because when we approved that budget last month, I think all of us felt like it was absolutely as high as we could go. I don't
Correct.
feel like we can go back in and add 56, and I also don't feel like we would be equipped to cut it at this point from anywhere else. So I would have to agree with Lee. If there's any way to really consider that as transfer service, so that we're watching transfer service, because that is also not critical to our day-to-day operations, right? The transfer service is not like water and sewer where you can't adjust.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you guys monitor the transfer service, then I think it is going forward without adjusting that budget number, at least what I would feel.
But we also set up a reserve fund with 70.
Correct.
Exactly. Which is
You
just,
already have
Which is
some
about
cushion
that
built
now,
in.
right?
that's can,
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
this is right there.
We
Like,
just
we
wrapped it up.
already did it.
Yeah.
When I received the phone call at home over the weekend, it was not a pleasant call.
Yeah, it's just frustrating, and yet, isn't it good that we did?
Better to know about it now than.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%.
Do you feel okay with that?
Yes. Yep. It's just we're gonna have to make some concessions and manage the budget tighter.
Well, we're gonna have to watch it live.
Exactly.
Which we're getting ready to be able to do.
Which we're getting ready to be able to do. So I will move on to my second point.
please.
So I can make public now. I have hired our new finance director for the town of Chester. I am very pleased to say that Deb Epler will be coming back to the town. For those who know Deb, Deb was my phone call to when I realized the problems that we have, and then him learning other things as time is going on. So I did a Hail Mary to Deb. I need to circle myself with people that I trust to get this back on track. called Deb. She's a very good friend of mine. In history, Deb worked for the town a number of years ago. Her and I were a team a number of years ago when David was here. Deb is the one who helped us transition from the old green ledger sheets to QuickBooks for the first time back in 2007, I think. So she's going to be a great asset. She has the government finance background. She's a crackerjack when it comes to budgets, when it comes to all kinds of that stuff. Deb is really good. Department heads are very excited to have her back. Her and I have already had lots of conversations, some cool things that we're going to put into place together that are going to help us get this back on the right track. So very pleased to announce that. She starts mid-March, March 16th.
Sounds
Will
like
be
she's
her start.
already started.
She's already started. Her and I are talking frequently. We both have moments of, Deb, can I do this? No, you can't, but you can do this. So her and I are having lots of conversations, and it's going to be great. I'm very, very thrilled with getting her on track.
Good news.
It is very good news for us. Yeah, very excited.
So you're gonna overlap with Lori for?
She will overlap with Lori for a couple of weeks. And then Deb will be primarily remote. She will be in the office. She does not live in Chester anymore. That's the other thing. Deb and Joe have lived here forever. But they have moved up to be with their grandchildren. So Deb will be remote all but 1 day a week. But she will be down here in office for 2 weeks. And overlapping with Lori. Lori has stated, so Lori's last day will officially be March 31st. Lori has indicated she is just up the street. She is, happy to have phone calls or whatever. I don't think there will need to be much of that. Deb will jump right back in pretty easily. Deb and I have a meeting with the auditors, in early April. We already have some questions. Deb has already thought of some questions, that need to be asked and, understanding. So we're already off to a start, but I'm very happy.
Right. The auditors are doing the audit now. How much time you got left on that?
So the auditors were in office 3 days last week. And then because we have to have a single audit this year because of our federal grant expenditures, they're working on the single audit now. They are only in office 3 days, and then all the other stuff with the audit is done behind the scenes. So because I have asked them to take the time and go back and reevaluate 2024 because there are clearly issues there, we have a target date of the end of April. I have let them know that I want them to appear to you guys in May, to give them time. They're hoping to get it done earlier. If they do, great. But end April, we should have an exact idea of what's going on. They will come, they will present. I know there's questions about government accounting principles and those types of things, so they will be here to answer any questions because it is very different. Government accounting is night and day from regular accounting. So,
Are they gonna reconcile the ARPA funds?
reconcile the ARPA funds.
Yes. You have the federal grant to figure out where they are. We need to just reconcile where all those got spent, right?
ARPA funds, they don't need to reconcile that. I have that. I have to report ARPA funds federally every December 31st.
Yeah.
So I can give you that report.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Julie, because they're looking back to the 2024 audit, is that going to affect the price that we usually pay for the audit?
No, I made that clear.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Any
So
other-
Peter, you just want a list of where the ARPA funds were spent?
Yeah.
Is that what you're,
Next on our agenda is adopt a municipal resolution on Tier 1B status. So this, I think, is where Jason Rasmussen and Hugh Quinn take the stand. So gentlemen,
Stand, I like that.
Support.
You don't have microphones for you anymore, so you can just.
You can just talk.
Wherever you
just
are.
talk.
Oh, okay, well.
You can stand way back there if you want.
So I'm Jason Rasmussen. I'm with Mount Scottney Regional Commission. I believe I was here, I don't know when that was, a number of months ago to talk about Act 181. So the legislature passed this act about a year and a half ago, and there's an awful lot in there. I feel like there's an awful lot of confusion about what's in there and what's not in there. Typically, we're being asked to sign a resolution about this called Tier 1B status. We'll talk a little bit about what that means, But essentially, it just means, yes, the town of Chester wants Act 250 exemptions in and around the village center. Essentially.
Can you say that again?
Could you go to the wall and kind of face
Go to the
off
wall,
a
I can
little
do
bit?
that, yes.
No hard to do.
Go to the wall.
Last Voices three sentences crying out.
are what we all need
Yeah,
to
we
hear.
lost it. So tier 1B means Chester, if you sign this resolution, that means Chester wants Act 250 exemptions for housing projects, I didn't say that, in and around the village center. And the way the map is drawn, that would be effective within what the state recently approved as your neighborhood development area. It should be the same boundary. So what this really means is you'll have permanent Act 250 exemptions in a pretty big area, like, I'm surprised the state approved your NDA. As they did. And so this is good. This is a legacy neighborhood development area at this point, and I'm hoping it'll be smooth sailing, but we may get some questions, who knows? But I think to me, that's a no-brainer that Act 250 exemptions in this area for housing is a really, really good tool. And I say that as the Regional Planning Commission person. I also say that as a Chester Housing Commission person. I think it's a really important tool.
So just to be clear, you're saying that this would cover the village center and the planned growth area?
It looks like you have maps. I have a bigger one if you want. So everything that's kind of the purple on the map is the village center.
Here, you guys can have my copy. You guys can hand around my copy.
So there we go. So the purple area sort of in the center is the village center. That was approved by the state a number of years ago.
I can hold it. You wanna hold it?
Man,
I'm not very tall, so unless I stand on the table.
Okay, so this is not helping the select board, but this
Well,
right
they
here
have
is,
this.
this is the village center right now.
Oh,
Okay, and then this is what's being called the planned growth area.
Also on the TV, if you want to look at the screen.
There you
Oh,
go.
well, there you go. That's
There you
right.
go.
Thank you, Soil.
And so that's
Thank
really
you,
where
Sue, that's right.
that's those two areas combined are where this Act 250 exemption would.
That's just, well, in municipal resolution, I think it's really important that you say, when it says Act 250, there's no one in there that's in the resolution that you provide.
I'm sorry, it doesn't say what?
Well, it says Act 250 jurisdiction, but it doesn't really say, it's just.
Is it limited to housing or does it
So there's
tier 1B designation give us Act 250 exclusions for non-residential?
It is for housing. There's 4 tiers in Act 181. Tier 1A would be full Act 250 exemption, but that's really for like Burlington.
Yeah.
Big places. There's a lot more you got to have in place for that to kick in. Tier 1B is a good fit, I think, for Chester. And it's just housing. So a housing project of 50 units or less, 10 acres or less is what we're talking about. So pretty big projects. And there's no limit to the number. That's just the size of a project that would be eligible for the exemption. If somebody came in with a 60 unit development, they would have to go through Act 250. If they made it 50, 49, they would be exempt. So they would be smart to shoot lower than 50.
So by nature of it being tier 1B, it relates only to housing. Is that correct?
It's only names.
So does it need to be called out specifically in the
Yeah.
resolution?
Well,
I don't think so, but if it's, what the rest of the information on the resolution is really just calling out the statutory requirements for tier 1B. And I hope it's fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah, if it just said housing in there, so somebody didn't just pull this out and say, see, I planned this whole thing, and it says Act 250 exempt.
Well, if you look at the next to the last whereas, it says the town of Chester has water supply, wastewater infrastructure, soils that can accommodate community wastewater disposal system for compact housing development. So it is in there. Maybe not quite as clear as.
Just right in the top. Request for acting for the purpose of Act 250 jurisdiction for housing. Well, first sentence.
It's not as clear as maybe it could be, but
Yeah.
Did you send this to me in a Word document?
It is a
I
word.
think so, yeah,
Yeah, it
I
is.
think so.
So when they say we're exempt from Act 250 jurisdiction, but that doesn't mean, that means they have to follow all the rules and regulations of our zoning then. So we're
Yes.
going to be enforcing everything. So they're good. And that's the only thing they have to go by.
Yeah, so it's really a local control thing, and it's one step that a developer doesn't have to go through. You know, it's one less thing that you're gonna have expensive application fees associated with an Act 250. Takes a long time, you get appeals, so they're avoiding that, which is good. It's really important.
If it works for our zoning, then it's a go, and it doesn't have to jump through all those extra hoops.
The DRB or Hugh's gonna have to review it and whatever, just it'll be that local process. Maybe the state wastewater permits and a few other things are still gonna, be needed, but other than that, yeah.
You're still gonna have all the state agencies that you would have to do with Act 250. Just Act 250 is not gonna have to do anything, right? Wetlands is gonna have to be there, natural resources is gonna have to be there, identifying plants and all this stuff. All the steps that you have to go through with Act 250 gonna have to be done. It's just Act 250 does not have to sign off.
If the property has a wetland and you're impacting the wetland, yeah. You don't have to go through
So
that
all we're
state
doing
wetland
is saying,
process.
now we don't have to have Act 250's approved.
Right, but
You're
I
gonna have to
think
meet all the things that you normally would. It's just now you don't have to wait for Act 250 to do it. They're out of the
All those things
process.
are spelled out in our zoning.
Right. And state regs and everything else. But Act 250 had a way of really
Yeah,
slowing
yeah,
things
throwing
down.
the wrench in
And
the-
costing a lot of money and
Excuse me, for the record, who was that speaking?
Larry Simonis.
Larry Simonis.
The only question I have, I've read all this, I reviewed it all, for the life of me, I can't think of any reason why anybody would have any issue with it all. Is there any reason to hesitate on this at all?
One question, and Larry Simonis again.
Thank you.
And again, rumors are rampant. And this may be totally wrong, but if you accept these things into the tiers, it may ultimately affect something out in the rural area.
two totally separate
Two
things.
totally separate things.
Two totally separate things.
They all have to be accepted on their own as we go along, so we're not forced into a tier 4 up in this area just because we accepted the one in the center of the village.
Yeah.
They're not connected at
He's
all.
hesitating.
The elephant in the room is tier 3. It doesn't exist yet because the State Land Use Review Board has not finished the rulemaking process.
So they can make it with that tier 3, connect it with what's going on with this.
The state is going to ultimately determine what tier 3 is. And I have no power over that. That's a totally separate conversation. This is really just, do we want Act 250 exemptions for housing in and around the village center? I think it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
I don't see any reason not to do it.
So Julie just went and modified the document. So the first whereas says, whereas in accordance with Vermont law 10 VSA subsection 6033, the municipality may request tier 1B area status for the purposes of Act 250 jurisdiction for housing.
Perfect.
Are there any Act 250 jurisdiction things that would apply in the village? Like a brewery or something like that, that maybe you could take advantage of even if it's not housing?
So if you had a brewery or whatever, this would not impact that. So if it's jurisdictional on 10 acres or more or something like that, then yeah, they're gonna have to go through Act 250.
I don't think we're eligible for tier 1A.
They want us just for housing,
Yeah.
period.
I don't think we're eligible for tier 1A.
You could always go back for tier 1A in the future,
Right.
but it requires a lot.
What
The
wasn't,
zoning needs to have a lot more in it,
yeah,
and you need some more capacity. So whether that's you got a town attorney on retainer, or you got this or that, or something else, you're gonna need more of that. And you can always do that down the road.
I was just wondering in case there was something that we could add that would help, but it sounds like it's just for housing and that's it.
wasn't the tier 1A was you were gonna take over the Act 250 permits that were also in your town and you were gonna have to take care of those. And it's like, we don't want to do that.
No.
It's a big burden. It's a big administrative burden.
And isn't the phrase in 1A that you have to have developmental capacity within your town? Not just, that you have to be able to manage the development in a way that we don't have the resources for, at least.
So just to remind everybody in the room, when you're speaking.
Oh, I'm
state your
sorry,
name.
yes, Lauren Fairbank.
Thank you. And I'd appreciate a heads up before we start talking.
I'm
But
sorry.
yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're all hearing what you're saying and know who's speaking. So thank you.
Jason nodded at me. I didn't know this for you.
Sorry. Yeah, but I think, tier 1B, to me, it really is a no-brainer. You can always change it down the road. You can always apply for tier 1A down the road in the future if you want. Maybe they'll loosen things up and it'll be a little easier, in the future. I don't know, but that could always change. But I think I would strongly recommend you approve this tonight, and we can always look at changes down the road.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody in Zoom land too? Do you mind bringing back the crowd? I just want to make sure nobody has any.
There's no hand raising option. This is Scott.
Yes, Mr. McDonald, go ahead.
In the planning commission meeting, when this all came up, Jason, you were there. It's just important to really clarify that the reason we suggested choosing 1B in the planning commission meeting was because the other option was an administrative nightmare.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion or we're just signing?
You need a motion and then you need to sign to vote. It's a resolution.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to sign the municipal resolution on tier 1B status as discussed.
So moved.
Ariana's made the motion. Do I have a second? Second. So Arnie's a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Now, everybody has their own line to sign on, so make sure you sign on your line.
The only thing, if I could just say, just procedurally, what to expect. We're hopefully submitting our plan next week to the State Land Use Review Board for pre-application review. Are we ready? I don't think so, but we're going to do it, I think. Anyway, I'm looking at Julie because she's on my board.
Yeah, Monday we vote on it.
And they're going to do a pre-review basically, and I'm sure they're going to want some changes. We can make the changes roughly in August. We're going to resubmit it for the final review. We hope that it'll be approved soon thereafter. And at that point, this will hopefully kick in. So at some point in the fall. So that this isn't immediate. It'll take a little bit, but we hope this will, the town-owned property, the one across the street from it, this will help make those more developed.
Excellent. Yes, Mr. Quinn.
Yeah, Hugh Quinn. The only thing I'll add to what Jason said is that if this does get delayed for whatever reason, because we went ahead and got our NDA approved, and if a housing project does come in, then we're going to get all the same Act 250 relief. So we've got sort of a safety net. This work moves out to the right. So I just wanted to say that so people would know.
Excellent. Thank you.
True. Very true. Yep.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. And everybody who's commented on this. Next on our agenda is new business and the next agenda. Anybody have any new business that they'd like to talk about and or topics for the next agenda?
You will have a new board because the elections will have taken place and we know Ariane is leaving. So you will have reorganization. I'm hopeful that you're going to have first draft of the roads policy. Jim is working on that as we speak. You will have a first draft of the public records policy. And if I can work without interruption, you will have a draft of the use of town property policy, but I would plan that probably is going to be your second meeting in March. But that's coming.
The road policy is the class 4 with
Yes.
the marriage of the.
Correct. Jim is working on that now. I'm hoping to have that for your next meeting.
Excellent.
And I should go back to the old business when we were talking about the finance and you said, will they reconcile ARPA funds?
Yeah.
They do that. I
Yep.
shouldn't have said it like they don't. They
Yep.
do. Yes.
Okay. Anything else? In that case, we will move into executive session. And so, excuse me, I will entertain a motion to move to find that premature general public knowledge of confidential. Oh, sorry, if you guys want to leave, go ahead.
I think we have to.
Yes.
Believe that.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. See you Monday.
It's up in that area.
You wanna give me the-
And it's got to have the town clerk signature. So I'll have Amy sign tomorrow. If you need the original,
affect this
I'll scan it tomorrow.
Before, I'm on the other side of the road and it's the same color as this side. I know I'm not. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Okay, on legal opinion, I'm leaving myself.
Oh, right.
All right, thank you, Peter, I appreciate it.
You still have to recuse yourself from this?
I still have, well, that's,
Yes.
my fearless leader, who should give me a huge kickback, said that I have to leave.
Yeah, Jim does not want him involved. Not that he doesn't want to, but yeah.
Why
Just have to come by and just prune apples.
Yeah, now I'll just have to come to you and you can tell me what's happening in the town because I won't know anymore.
That's what I have a front porch for. That's the first thing, if you get elected as a selectman, buy more porch furniture. You're gonna-
Thanks,
See you, Peter, thank you. All right, now,
Okay with all that?
Well, you got to do the motions to go into executive
Yeah.
session first.
so I will entertain a motion to find the premature general public knowledge of confidential attorney-client communications for the purpose of providing professional legal services relative to the status of Bailey Hill Road would place the town of Chester at a substantial disadvantage.
So moved.
Ariana's made the motion.
Second.
Tim's the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And I will entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of reviewing a legal opinion received from counsel regarding the status of Bailey Hill Road pursuant to 1 VSA subsection 313, 1F. Motion to include inviting in town manager Julie Hantz.
So moved.
Ariana's the motion.
Let me just-
Second.
Arnie's the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. We're in executive session.
We need to meet.
Yep,
So
hang on
we
one
will
second.
be